So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi villains, and welcome to For the Love of Pomegranate podcast. I hope we've all woken up again. You know, wipe the sleep from your eyes, because that wasn't any game to write home about, especially from an Aston Villa point of view. It was a pretty lethargic, boring game, I think. Really, I know we faced a lot of shots, but look, point in the bag. We moved up a place, 4 points behind Liverpool in fourth place, and that's the end of the podcast. I think that's it. I think it's done. Don't really have much more to say.
I think you forgot to say that we're going to rename the podcast For the Love of Emmy Martinez podcast.
Oh, yeah, it nearly is. Yeah, absolutely nearly is. Look, we're just going to get it out of the way. I've already put it up on Twitter already, because it's just not even a discussion point. Emmy Martinez is the Lakers sportsman of the match. Had a career high 9 saves in a game today, and some of them were really good. There was a really good save he had, and Paddy, let's just jump straight into it. But one of the saves he had was really, really good. He palmed it over actually with the wrong hand after it got a touch off Matty Target that just kind of flicked it upwards into a more difficult saving position, and he had to bring his hand right across his face, his left hand across his face to save it. And that was a really good save. He had another couple of good ones, touched one from Trossard around the post, and got up high to another one. The man's just brilliant. Like, he's just like anybody who says he isn't the signing of the season this year is, like, you're just really fooling yourself. Really are. Like, 12 clean sheets in his first full season his first half full season as I don't know why I looked at my watch there. For everybody on YouTube, you would have seen me looking at my watch as if I had the whole season on my watch or something. I've no idea why I did that.
Well, let's now that you've mentioned the people looking at YouTube, I'm sitting here in an Aston Villa goalkeeper shirt.
Yes, again,
I haven't bought a goalkeeper shirt in nearly 30 years. I'm probably too old to be wearing a goalkeeper shirt. Thankfully, they make them short sleeves now, so they look like you're wearing a normal kind of shirt. But look, we have an absolute gem on our hands here. We have got really, really lucky. I believe we've the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. It's no coincidence that the media today were looking into the fact that he could potentially declare for England, which is absolutely bonkers at 29 years of age. But anyway, look, he kept us in the game today. And I'll go as far as saying that today was our worst performance in about 5 years that we've actually taken points from.
Do you know what? That's not a bad call. That's not a bad call at all, Paddy. We played that badly against West Ham and were punished 3-1. We probably actually even played worse today.
I thought we were worse today. Than West Ham.
I think that could be the worst game I've ever seen Jack Grealish play for Aston Villa. Not having a crack at him. He just they just shut him down. And I think Veltman got under his skin, and Basuma didn't let him move. And I think Brighton's MO was just to stifle Aston Villa early. So the second McGinn got the ball, the second Barkley didn't really get the ball. I thought he was industrious as in he got around the field, but I didn't think this is like third or fourth, fifth game really that he hasn't really affected the game. Bar the goal from Southampton, maybe it might be a thought process around maybe something happening there, I think. But Brighton were fantastic today. Like I'm not having a meltdown about today. We came away from it with a point, and like I just genuinely it was a game of nothing really other than the saves. Like, we did nothing in the game, and you're going to have those games. You're going to have those games, and we're just happy we had one and we didn't lose.
And that's the long and the short of it, really. We're sitting here and we're a little bit deflated. We are deflated, We're asking questions of ourselves because this is the second time in the space of a couple of weeks that somebody has got one over us tactics wise. Thankfully, we've come away with a point. It's not the end of the world. Am I disappointed? Yeah, slightly. Am I pissed off? No. We got a point. Everybody said it on Twitter since that if this had happened last year, we'd have lost the game. And that seems to be the overriding emotion of it. But having said that, there needs to be a plan B for when they double up on Jack and when they take him out of the game. And it will come. I know it will come. It has to come now because they're in trouble.
Paddy,
If we don't, and don't get me wrong, I don't envisage Leicester doing this to us next week because they need to go and win the game. Brighton today, West Ham 2 weeks ago, didn't need to go and win the game. They take Jack out of the game. They spoil the game. They slow it down to their pace. They dictate everything other than that. And you know, it's a strange situation. Jack was booked early on for cynical foul because the guy dived to the ground. It happened to Trezeguet later in the game. Trezeguet didn't go to the ground. There was no yellow card. You know, it's just one of those things. Jack was largely anonymous after that. Look, the stats don't lie. We didn't deserve anything out of that game, and we got a point. Yeah. I don't think we've too much to argue about.
No, absolutely not. We're going to have a bogey team. They're certainly going to be our bogey team. And I'm going to ask you a question in a moment, Paddy. Before you do, I know we've been known for cracking a can open on this podcast, but you know, I don't usually drink in the podcast, not often, but today I've had a heavy day today. I've actually got a bottle of whiskey here in front of me. A lovely 12-year-old Cardew. It's a single malt Scotch whiskey. If anybody is interested, this might be more interested in our analysis of the game. But the Cardew,
not even Irish whiskey.
No, it's. I decided I wanted a Scotch. You know, I wanted without the E whiskey, if you know what I mean. But the Cardew whiskey, it's a Speyside whiskey. It's a distillery there near Moray, in Scotland, and it was originally found by a whiskey smuggler called John Cummings. They sold all their old distillery equipment to Glenfiddich and all that kind of stuff. But
so it's nothing got to do with William McGregor or John McGinn. I don't want to know.
Yeah, well, it was 1824, so you would, do you know what? William McGregor might have been bringing it down. Actually, I'm going to create a scurrilous rumor. John Cummings was smuggling it over the border to William McGregor. That's what he was doing. All right, that's it. But Paddy's known for his can opening sounds. Listen to this. I don't know. Could you hear that? I hope you could hear the pop.
Didn't have the same effect, Neil. No.
The pop of the cork off the bottle, but yeah. I just decided to change of pace today. No, proper whiskey.
One of those days.
Here we call it here in Ireland. We call it Ishkabaha, the water of life. So by that reckoning, Your Honour, it never killed anyone. But anyway, back to matters at hand, and less of the product placement of the Cardew 12-year-old whiskey, which just for legal purposes, we are not sponsored by the way.
Are you sure? Was it gifted, Neil?
Not yet. Not yet. Now, it was gifted by my better half's father for Christmas, and it's absolutely gorgeous as well. If anybody wants it, so if I have to declare it was a gift because of that, then so be it. I absolutely will. But anyway, getting back to matters, claret and blue, as opposed to amber. I think, look, I would have come away from this game today and I would have gone, look, we got to, and I still am coming away from it going, we got away with something today. We absolutely did. There's been games where we've played absolutely brilliantly, like Brighton, like the previous fixture where we played brilliantly against Brighton and we came away with nothing in the last minute. Played brilliantly against West Ham and came away with nothing in the time Ogbonna hauled down Ollie Watkins. So to come away with something, I think is something. But I think probably the most negative thing to come out of tonight was Matty Cash pulling up what looked like a hamstring injury, and it was a really strange one. And I just knew when Alzate came over, who did nothing but just trundle into our players tonight. He only touched the ball like 16 times in the whole game. And he did nothing but like stop attacks and getting like niggly stuff. And some of them were giving us fouls, some of them weren't. But when he hit Matt Cash, belt of his shoulder, It just didn't look right. It didn't look right the way he kind of he hit the ground afterwards, Cash, and I hope he's okay. But it doesn't look like it because he immediately went for the hamstring and they immediately took him
No,
out.
well, I think
So there was no weight
I
on him.
think what happened was he went to turn just as there was contact made, and it's not nice on the hamstring, and it was a hamstring injury. It was confirmed afterwards that he felt the hamstring, so it was best to take him off.
Yeah, yeah.
That's well, his recovery rate has been good so far when he's been injured. So fingers crossed, it's not too bad.
There's no such thing as a good recovery rate from a hamstring, unfortunately. They're just
No, there's not. No, but thankfully, the recovery's there. I like Elmo. I think he's a ready, willing and ready replacement for him. So, I'm not too worried.
He was our provider in chief an awful lot last year with his deep crossing from just over the halfway line. So look, he'll be great. And hey, I can't bloody wait. Call up Kane Hayden Kessler. I've been raving about him since for most of the season. Call him up, give him a shirt, have him on the bench. If things aren't going right at fullback, throw the kid in there. What's the worst that'll happen? What is the worst that'll happen? I would prefer to have him in there if anything happened to Elmo here on out, than to have Konza move to right back and Engels or House go in there. And everybody knows how much I love Courtney House. I just think that we have a defensive partnership now in Konza and Mings, and that's it. That's it. There is no more question. That's our defensive partnership in the central of defense, bar injuries, illness, reaching a booking threshold or red cards. You don't got to touch that. That's it. It's done. They could be like an Adams and Bold or a Pallister and Bruce, or Jesus, does it say an awful lot about me that I'm kind of going back as far as that for defensive partnership?
McGrath.
Thielen McGrath. Yeah, Thielen McGrath. Yeah, I'll take Thielen McGrath. Absolutely. Leave him there. Bring in our right backs. If we play the young fella, look, sure, what's the worst that'll happen? He might be fucking brilliant. That's the worst that'll happen. So, but it's one of those things with Matty Cash. I don't want to see him out. I think he's just been such a star performer, and he's been a needful performer, and he's like he week in, week out, he's been one of the players that has the most touches and the most passes for us, week in, week out. So it's it's just one of those things that's the only reason that I'm kind of wincing after tonight's performance. The performance wasn't good. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that it was, but am I overly concerned about it? No. Will I be overly concerned in 3 weeks' time if we haven't picked ourselves up off the floor and started playing at least some semblance of attacking football? Yeah, my tone might change then, but I think at the moment it's I think definitely we're in a funk, all right. We're in a bit of a funk, all right, but I'm not so sure it's time for concern just yet. I think it's more I think it's like I think that's probably still a hangover of an awful lot of games in a short space of time. But look, time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we need a plan B. I think maybe we need to start with the plan B, whatever that is. Play Jack through the middle, drop Barkley, play him on the right, move Bertie over to the left, whatever it is. We've got a disjoint. I don't envisage that happening in the near future with Leicester and then Leeds. I don't think they're the kind of teams that will do that kind of thing. So it may not be a concern for another couple of weeks. But the teams of the ilk of Brighton, who are fighting for their lives, probably not so much anymore now that they're 10 points clear of relegation. And you know what? Fair play to them. On 25, was it 25 points and they're still 10 points clear? Nuts, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely nuts. Anyway,
Graham Potter is so good, lads. Like Graham Potter is a very good manager. He's a coach. He's a tactical coach, manager, should I say? He's done his apprenticeship. He's come up through the leagues as a coach, and look. I'm going to say it. It's a bit of football snobbery sometimes. When you look at a team like Brighton and you go, we should have been beating them out the door. I was guilty of it. I thought that this was a win. No problem. And I'm putting my hand up to say potential football snobbery, putting the cart before the horse from my point of view. Brighton are very well marshaled. Spurs, they showed Spurs what they're made of. They showed I'm going to say they showed Liverpool what they're made of, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Showed Leicester the other night until the last 10 seconds when they fell asleep.
Yeah, yeah. Like
And I was
I'll say
praying for
something.
that last 10 seconds that we would override them, and when they fell asleep, but it never happened. Look, it's not the end of the world.
No, absolutely not.
It's a point gained as opposed to 2 points dropped, and that's how I'm going to look at it for now.
This is it, because that could have as easily been another West Ham game or another maybe Southampton first half. You know, they peppered our goals. No, we can't sit here and say, you know, that we deserve better, or that the team should have played better. You can only talk about what you've seen on the field, and realistically, calling it as it was. Our three behind Ollie Watkins were very poor tonight. Jack Grealish was poor. Ross Barkley was poor on the ball. Sorry, Jack Grealish was poor on the ball. Ross Barkley was poor on the ball. Yeah. And Bertrand Traore was statistically anonymous in the game today. Like, he had 20 touches of the ball. He lost the ball 4 times. So that's 1 in 5 times when the ball came to him, he lost it. And this isn't having a crack off him and saying he should be dropped or he's useless or anything. Just didn't go his way. He just didn't have a good game. That back three, or that we'll call him 3/4 three, just behind Watkins. They were well marshalled by Veltman. They were well marshalled by Bazuma. They were well marshalled by Pascal Gross, floated in around there. And look, for all the talking I did about Dan Burn beforehand being, you know, big and tall and lanky and gangly, Dan Burn is well able to play football. You know?
Yeah.
He was done. I'd go so far as to say he had the most shots in this whole game. He didn't. Trossard did. But Dan Burn had 4 shots. Really? Dan Burn had 4 shots from centre half.
Yeah.
Do you know? Like, they had 26 shots in the game. So basically what's happened here, right? Put this in counteract for us. We're Burnley, they're Aston Villa. That's what happened in this game today. They outplayed us. They had 26 shots on goal. They couldn't get a goal. They couldn't get a goal. They go away going, Jesus, how didn't we win that game? We're Burnley. We faced 26 shots on goal. We don't let any in. Our goalkeeper has a blinder, and we come away going, yes, point in the bag. There you go. Swings and roundabouts.
Well, look, all I'll say at this stage is we lie in 8th place in the Premier League. We still have games in hand. We're 4 points off Liverpool in 4th place.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable the way this league has gone. So, you know, we have a lot to be thankful for. I think that point today is to be thankful for. There's no point in dwelling on it. It's up to the guys who we entrust to organise the team and set them out to figure out why we were ineffective tonight and who was ineffective tonight. And I think we'll learn from it. I think we'll grow. You know, it's good to see Morgan Sanson come on.
Yes.
I think he could be the future. You know, you mentioned.
I think he could be the present. I think we might see him. I think we might see him against Leicester.
I hope we do. You know, I think he's been patient. I thought McGinn was poor tonight. I don't mean he was dreadful. I thought he gave the ball away too much, and that's just nothing statistically based. That's just my opinion on how watching the game. We discussed it before we went on air. We couldn't find the statistics, so that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
There was a couple of passes where
a couple of errant passes. Yeah.
Yeah, there was an option to either dump it or give it away, and he ended up giving it away. I'd rather dump it into the penalty box than give it away, but that's just my opinion. Like to put a special mention out to 2 guys tonight. The first one being Ollie Watkins.
Yes.
You know, I think we can mention him nearly every night. He just works his absolute nuts off. The guy, he doesn't get as much praise as he deserves. And the second one is to just to preface it, I, for the first time in a few weeks, been able to listen to the game with no background noise. So tonight, the only voice I could hear was Tyrone Mings. He was absolutely unbelievable. He was like the conductor of the orchestra. He was just shouting, roaring. No matter what was going on, the only voice you could hear was Tyrone Mings. Not Potter, not Dean Smith. At one stage, I actually thought Tyrone Mings had a microphone on his shirt. That's how loud he was. He was fantastic.
Wait till we get back into the stadium, Paddy, and hear it in actuality. You know, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, but I got this. I have this sound bar and sound system on the TV. I've never turned it on. Not once since I got it for a game. I turned it on for concerts and stuff when I'm watching it.
Yeah.
And I turned it on tonight, and I'm just like, wow.
But Paddy, sorry.
I thought it was unbelievable to listen, and the voices you could hear, Tyrone Mings, Emmy Martinez coming for the ball. It was just like being at the match with no other fans. It was enjoyable to watch. You know, it's a speed bump. I believe we're on a speed bump at the moment. We'll get through it. The points will come. On the plus side, everyone around us is dropping points. It's just a bonkers league
as well. I've two things on that. I'm going to start off with the footballing point first before I come to a more trivial point afterwards. Guys, if we finish 9th or 10th this year with 51 points, let's say, I'm just picking an arbitrary number out of the top of my head, or 48 points, or 44 points, or 46 points. High five. Everybody should be high-fiving each other. Like it's not like just because we're flying high now doesn't mean that we have to finish in the top 4. You know, we'll finish where we deserve to finish. We'll finish where we deserve to finish. You know, we absolutely will. If we finish in the top 4, you know, clothes will come off, there will be dancing naked in the streets, and there will be Asbos given out, and that'll be fine. You know, but if we finish 9th or 10th, there'll be high fives given, there'll be probably more bottles of whiskey drank afterwards in the off season, and we'll be fine again. You know, Premier League survival is fantastic. It's and I'm not setting my standards low. I want to catch Liverpool. I want to finish 4th. Jesus Christ, we would be on a stairway to heaven if we finish 4th. Be absolutely fantastic. But if we finish 9th or 10th, that's where we deserve to finish. You know, that's what and yes, we can be disappointed about it, but there's a lot of positives. Like I'm getting ahead of myself now with 16 games left to go, but I suppose that's kind of the way I'm setting myself up. So right at the moment I'm on cloud 9. I'm up there in the stars at the moment, and I'm expecting to fall some way down a small bit. I'm just setting up a nice soft bed for myself, and I don't think it's a bad thing to do that, because I think it's just probably realism. But at the same time, if we get to stay up there, well then brilliant. I'll be the first person shouting from the trees. I'm going to go into every game thinking we're going to win it. Don't get me wrong. Like last year, from Project Restart onwards, I was consistently predicting we're going to win this game. We're going to win this game. That's just my nature. I think we're going to win every game. But I suppose also the objectivity and the realism of it is that if we finish 9th or 10th, brilliant, fantastic. We've had a great season of a rebuild. People are talking about us. We have Jack Grealish. We're not going to lose Jack Grealish, I don't think, this summer. We may, but I don't think we will. Yeah, I think we'll just park the Brinks truck at the back of his house and say, listen, there you go, dip into that whenever you need it, and take a $250,000 whenever you need it. Because I think the club understand an awful lot about the squad building here. But anyway, sorry, that was a bit on the football point. The other thing, Paddy, is you said you plug in the soundbar for concerts. Now I've seen on Facebook that you like Garth Brooks concerts. Well, what was it? What type of concert was it that you were plugging it in for? Because I think I missed the Garth Brooks one. I would like to see that. Ireland has this insatiable love, and we just wrap our arms around Garth Brooks. I don't know what it is. He basically forced a vote in our Houses of Parliament over a gig one time. Our national stadium, Croke Park, National GAA Stadium, 80,000, 85,000, I think, seater stadium. He wanted to hold 5 nights there. And the residents kicked up stink, probably rightly so, because listen, if you're going to have probably 100,000 people going into the stadium 5 nights in a row, you know, that they're probably not going to get a wink of sleep. People doing silly things in their doorways and stuff like that. But anyway, forced a bit of conversation in our Houses of Parliament, and for finish, he played no gigs. But I'd just be interested to know what concert it was that you listened to last on it, Paddy.
Well, the last one I listened to was Liam Gallagher.
Excellent. You redeemed yourself. You redeemed yourself.
It seems we've gone off on a tangent altogether.
Well, look, to be honest with you, I did say to you before this that, look, I don't really want to completely dissect that game because I found it a terribly boring game. I found we had no tactic in the game, and the reason we had no tactic in the game was because their tactic was so good. And Graham Potter is really good at this, stifling the middle of the field. It just probably goes to show that once we're stifled in the middle of the field, we can't get the ball out quickly to the wings. We were pretty powder puff tonight. Is it endemic in the team? Is it something I'm worried about going forward? Not at the moment. No, I'm not. It's not a knee-jerk reaction thing. I think we'll be good. I think we'll be good with a bit of space against Leicester. I think we've shown that we can hold with Leicester. And against, like, it's just been the pattern of this year that when we go up against a team that we're not supposed that we need to be really marshaled and drilled for, we perform well, and we nick a goal sometimes when other teams are drawn out against us. Brighton didn't draw out against us. What they did is they got the ball forward quickly, and they actually, a lot of what they did was very similar to West Ham. They tried to get Dan Burn forward an awful lot to be their Souček type, and they played with four attacking as such. They maybe had Bazuma a small bit more forward, but they still defended with five, and we could just get nothing done, And look, that's our Achilles heel at the moment. We need to learn how to win those games, and we didn't learn how to win it against West Ham, but we've learned how to draw it today. So who knows? Next time we might nick one.
Because on another day we would have lost it.
Oh yeah. That's still not an excuse, though. That's like I want to be clear on that. Like, we're not making an excuse that this is fantastic because we didn't win it or because we didn't lose it. Yeah. I'm just saying that it's not like, for me, it's not a case of. I don't feel like we've stood in a rake and it's hit us in the face, that kind of a thing. I feel like we got what we deserved from it,
Okay, well, let's put the whole thing in perspective, right? The season kicks off. We stayed up by the skin of our teeth last season.
Skin of our VAR.
Skin of our VAR. Yeah, because everyone forgets everything that happened with VAR earlier.
Yeah.
So we're 22 games into the season. Our nemesis, Wolves and West Brom, yes, we're way ahead of them.
Yes.
Are we really? Wow, that's brilliant. If we're ahead of Wolves, we are flying in the league. By the way, we're also ahead of Arsenal, Leeds, Spurs.
Yeah.
So 22 less games at the start of the season. If we were to discuss this and to throw out those facts, people would be scratching their heads. It's a strange old Premier League, but we have outdone ourselves. We're a long way to go. What did you say? 16 games? You've it all added up.
Yeah, I think it's 16.
We still have a couple of games in hand. I'm not. I ruled out Europe in my. When was that? Burnley after Burnley.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, I have to hold my hands up and say, yeah, it's that was one of the days that I was particularly pissed off. It's not over. It's not over. No. Dreaming about Europe. It's so attainable at this stage. It's unreal from where we were last season. And those clubs that I named, if people had said to us, you'll be ahead of those four clubs, we would have said we were in the top four. Yeah. That's how mad this Premier League season is. So we'll be fine.
I'm going to embark on a small bit of mental gymnastics here. So we would talk about being better off than we were last year. So Liverpool, we're only 4 points behind Liverpool this year, and we finished last year 64 points behind Liverpool. So by my reckoning, we're 60 points better off than we were last year. Okay, it's irrefutable. Take it to the bank. If anybody says anything, you say, yeah, but we're 60 points better off than we were last year because we were 64 points. Finished
points or points?
Points. Points. Yeah. Actually, do you know what? I'm not 100% sure. Actually, that would be a great poll. Who do we think? Which team in the league do we think would drink the most points? I don't think our guys would be high up there. Small statured guys. I don't know. But then again, I don't know who would be up there. I'm just having a look down through it. Oh, I'd say Dyche has his Burnley team primed for points a bit, or I'd say no.
Big Sam's team.
That seems to be the thing they're doing at the moment, the supping points, I'd say. yeah. But says the fellow drinking a dram of whiskey, I suppose. He who is without sin cast the first stone. But no, I think we've been a bit jovial and been a bit less focused on the game tonight. And to be honest with you, it was because I had a chat with Paddy beforehand. And I said, listen, to be honest, like I don't really want to break down that game today because there's nothing to break down. We got the ball, we gave the ball away, they attacked us. There was a save. That's essentially it. Like it's not. It's there'll be a time to break that down, and it's not directly after the game because there just isn't any massive points in it, bar some brilliant saves for Martinez. And look, as I say, we got out of it. We lived to fight another day. We got out of it with a clean sheet. We got out of it with a point, and I think look onwards to Leicester. I know none of us really like playing Leicester this time of year. It was the catalyst. It was the lowest point of the season last year. It may be the lowest point of the season again this year, but it's not going to be the defining point of our season. But I think we'll see maybe a couple of changes. People have been calling for fresh faces in the midfield in that team, and I think we'll see one or two changes next day. Probably one. Look, hey, we could have Nakamba, Douglas Luiz, and John McGinn in a midfield three against Leicester. Who knows? Yeah. And would I be disappointed? Don't think I would. We mightn't score.
I don't fear them either.
I need to hold my hand up about Leicester. I said some things about Harvey Barnes. Not that he was bad or anything, but I said that he was one of these guys that's just full of endeavor. By God, has he really come on this year? And he's not just full of endeavor because he really is. He is that, but he's that and so much more. And he is he's a real catalyst for them at the moment. He's literally jumped into Jamie Vardy's boots and become that nuisance, that wasp, that fly up front. That he's Mark Albrighton with an end product, with a massive goal scoring threat, and that's a bit more flair out there on that wing. And he's a danger man. He's a danger man for them. I actually singled him out as somebody that I thought we could pin back and maybe wouldn't be as threatening in the last game that we played him. But he's really found his wings in the Premier League this year, and fair play to him. He's actually a joy to watch because he just looks like, do you know what? He looks like a Dean Smith type player. He's just a guy who just wants to play football and just wants to get it down and play. And there's no messing and no joking about him. He's just happy to be a teammate and be a bloody good one as well because he's.
And they have a few of them, but they also have a few injuries. So we'll address that later in the week. We will. When we take stock of where they're at.
Exactly.
They have a European game this week, don't they?
They have something this week. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a long way to go before we need to play them next Sunday. Is next Sunday, isn't it? 2:00 next Sunday.
I'm gonna take your word for it. I haven't
looked at the fixture list. We'll have.
Wait a minute. Let me look at my watch again. It might give me the inspiration it gave me at the start of the podcast. No, still no league table on my watch. I don't know why I looked down at it the first time. No.
Yeah, we'll have less alcohol to worry about. When we play them next Sunday. So.
Be grand, lads. It'll be grand. Look, got out of this one. Live to fight another day. We call it a draw. If we were a boxer, we'd be coming out of this going, "Ooh, absolutely." Do you know what? I just relished the rematch there because that one wasn't our finest hour. And look, that's really all that can be said about it. Another little thing as well is here, since we started putting a couple of things up on YouTube, and this one will be on YouTube, I've realised that if the government are listening to me, will you open the hairdressers at the barbers, please? Because I'm getting a touch of the Dan Byrne haircut here. It's which wasn't bad. It's not a bad haircut. It's a fine head of hair for a man his height. Not that men his height don't have great heads of hair, but I've got a touch of the Dan Burns going on here with the quiff.
All men don't have a lot of hair.
Well, I don't know. It was a sweeping statement, so that's why I clarified it afterwards.
But, thankfully, us small lads are okay. Is that it?
Oh yeah. There's no such stereotype as the small fat bald guy. They've never heard of that one before. But if you are, actually, here's some more product placement. If you are, no matter what height you are, whether you've got hair or whether you're bald, but actually, here we go. You could get a for the love of to cover it up if you're a bit insecure about it. And you can find them on our wonderful new website, www.fortheloveofpaulmcgrath.com. And I'll even put it on here over my headphones and everything. This looks like with headphones on. So looks super. Not so good if you're listening to the podcast, but absolutely super if you're on YouTube. Just happen to have one there. Also, actually, to piggyback on that, on a more serious note, I'm very giddy tonight. Sorry, lads. And I actually didn't have any whiskey before the podcast. I just started drinking since the podcast. But just on a segue on that. Thanks so much to everybody who sent us in pictures of their favorite Aston Villa player or their favorite Aston Villa moment. We got a very cool one in of their favorite Aston Villa moment, and it was a nice. Like I only put it up last night, like 7 or 8 o'clock, and I've had 2 or 3 entries in already, or actually more. I think nearly 5 entries in already. It's been fantastic, and thank you ever so much to those of you who have entered already. So essentially, if you didn't see my previous video, it is I just want you really to just draw or paint or whatever a picture of your favorite Aston Villa player, no matter what era. There's going to be 2 prizes of hats given out. One to the best under. Actually, I never specified what was the child. We're going to call it. We call it the best under 16, best under 16, and the best over 16. So all you big children there, you guys can and we've got a couple in from some grown-ups as well, which is fantastic. So literally, we're an equal opportunities employer. We're an equal opportunities competition giver. So there is a hat available for the adults competition and a hat available for the kids competition. And look, just send them in. It's like I had some smile on my face looking at them because they were just brilliant today. And it's really cool to see. And for those on YouTube, you'll see I have a couple of gaps in my wall here. And while I'm not going to plagiarize your material that you send in and stick them up on the wall, it just got me thinking as I'm looking for stuff to fill here that there's so many talented people out there. I often talk about fan-led content on the podcast. I often talk about fan-led podcasts and statistical reviews and all that kind of stuff. But fan-led artwork is brilliant too. I've got a couple of things here as well. I'm not going to name the guys who sent them to me because or where I got them from because I'd have to go. There's just too many of them. I would mix them up, but I've got a couple of Jack Grealish there. I've got a Gabby Agbonlahor, small one there. Look, there's loads of them there. This is bad podcasting, because I'm pointing at stuff behind me in the videos here. But yeah, listen, draw a picture. Half term is coming up. I think this week for a lot of you guys, there's going to be a lot of kids at home with nothing to do, and there's a lot of snow. There could be bad weather or whatever. Break out the pencils and the coloring pencils and whatever else.
Just have a bit of crack.
Yeah, a bit of crack. Draw a picture. Look, as I say, we're gonna pick a winner. A winner will be picked next Sunday after the Leicester game. We will pick it and we will announce it on the show after the Leicester game next week. So the closing date is midnight the 19th. I'm not going to stay up until midnight. So like if you send it in like at 3 a.m. in the morning, if you're under pressure, I'm not going to disqualify you. Like, but as long as I have it for the Sunday morning so that I can make my determination with my critical artistic eye. Actually, I think I'm going to farm it out just so that I don't get any hate mail. I think I'll farm it out to somebody else.
Independent adjudicator.
I'll try and get an independent adjudicator from somewhere to
I'd like to give a shout out to Ben Anderson who won the cap or the hat during the week. You'll find him at Vikings and Villa. He shared today his he was out for his pre-match run, I think, and he was wearing his For the Love of Paul McGrath hat and looked very well in his 94 Coca-Cola jersey. So fair play to you, Ben. Looking good. Hope you enjoyed the hat.
Yeah. Lads, we're going to leave it there because if I slug down any more of this stuff, anything could come out of my mouth at the moment because I'm fairly giddy. Listen, it's a bit of a different podcast. I do apologize if this is something you don't like. I do apologize. We won't have too many of these. As I say, I just found that game incredibly boring, and I genuinely couldn't have forced myself to talk about.
Oh yeah, well look, the easiest thing in the world was for the two of us to sit here and be downbeat about the way it is. And let's be honest, when we wake up in the morning, we probably will be a little bit downbeat, but we've got a point. We've got a couple of people or 3 or 4 people that we can say you were absolutely played out of your skin today. And, as you said earlier, Emi Martinez,
What a man.
it's,
What a man.
it's the first goalkeeper's jersey I've worn since Mark Bosnich's really weird 1994 psychedelic jersey. So, look, it is what it is. We're in a much better place than we were last season. We're not going to pick the bones out of it. We're just going to relax, enjoy it, have a bit of crack. On to the next one. I'm sure we'll chat to you during the week, and all is good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just checking up here. It's €60 to change your name by deed poll here in Ireland.
Oh, really?
Just
I'm
in
not
case you
doing
want
it.
to change it to Emmy Martinez.
I'm not
Emmy
doing
Martinez,
it.
could get away with it. Yeah. I might tan then when I go out for it. If I give myself a real exotic name, I might get a lovely tan as opposed to going red.
You don't need a 10 to be an England international, and he could be according to the new rules.
Yeah, but no, I'm just talking about when I you can get back on planes and I can go to sunnier climes. I want to get a nice tan instead of turning it into a red freckly mess. But look, hey,
you'd have to wait another year for that, kid.
Absolutely. And I'm turning into a red freckly mess the more of this juice that I have here. But
can you indulge me for a second, Neil? Will I give
I'll try
to the newest Lions club in Ireland, the Longford Lions.
Yes.
Became an official satellite club of the Leinster Lions this week. Some great lads in there. Have been Villa fans for many years. If you're living in and around the Longford area, give them a shout. You'll find them on Facebook. This isn't a joke. This is, these are absolutely fabulous guys from a small region in Ireland, and that's what Lions clubs are all about. We're all a million miles from Villa Park at the moment, so when you can get together, have a bit of fun, be it online or in person, go and enjoy it, embrace it, and good luck to the Longford Lions, and may they grow many fans, many Emi Martinez fans in that region.
I have a mate actually living in Longford. Tony's originally he was a childhood friend. Bart, if you're listening, which I know that you're not because you're a Newcastle fan, just don't be a Newcastle fan anymore. Be a Villa fan, be sound.
Oh, Bart. Go and look for Dermot and his group in the Longford Lions. And
Longford Lions. So now Longford is famous.
Their stripes can change.
Exactly. Longford is now famous for something else. It used to be the town whereby former Taoiseach or Prime Minister, for any of you guys listening in the UK, of Ireland came for, Albert Reynolds. That was the only thing he was ever famous for. Albert used to own a lot of old nightclubs and dance halls, and that was so that's what he was known for. And then obviously because he did that, people thought he'd be a great Taoiseach. But anyway, we'll save that for the political podcast, Paddy.
It's also home to the greatest name of a club in Ireland,
the Longford Slashers. The Longford Slashers, yeah. What a great sports name. What a great sports name. But I'd be thrown out of Longford. Whenever I go over there, I'd be thrown out if I didn't say that Longford Slashers aren't a patch on Clongwish hurling club over there either. So I went to the night in the sauce with Clongwish hurling club because that's who Bart plays with at the moment. So if there's anyone listening there, thanks very much for that fantastic night of that Johnny Cash tribute band. It was that night because it was fantastic. I hope you remember it because
you don't.
I do up to a point. It was fantastic. I was a man in a foreign land. I think I was well entitled to have a few drinks that night. Anyway, look, this has been a right off the rails one, in fairness, and I usually like to keep it on topic, but look, it's just one of those days. We've got Valentine's Day tomorrow. I think everybody's giddy. So we won't hold you much longer.
So be giddy and giddy up.
Exactly. Right, we're going to leave it there because things are starting to get incriminating. Thanks everybody for listening, and as always, as I say, you can find Paddy on @VillaPaddy. You can find me on @LoveMcGrath Pod. Website as well, www.fortheloveofpaulmcgrath.com. I did a little feature. I'm doing a little feature on the midfielders at the moment. I did one of Douglas Luiz. If anybody wants to have a look at it, I'd appreciate it. Appreciate any feedback on it as well. We've got John McGinn coming up at some stage this week, and I'm going to try and go through week on week on our midfield 5 players, excluding unfortunately Jacob Ramsey, because at the time I put the statistics, he had only played 165 minutes for the club. So, but that's not to say that he isn't going to be a viable player for this club as well. So take a look at it there. Also, as I say, the competition we've got running, draw your favorite Aston Villa player. Listen, don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid of putting any entry in. Look, it's all a bit of crack. It's all a bit of fun. Pop it in. It's something to do over a week when the kids are off school, when people are off. Maybe some people are off work. Maybe it could be cathartic. Maybe you could rekindle something that you used to do in the past. So I'd be delighted to see those. Yeah, as I say, look, a little bit of a different podcast tonight. I hope it didn't offend anyone. I hope so. I hope everybody enjoyed this, and maybe us having a bit of a laugh is kind of taking the edge off that game for somebody tonight. But we've got Leicester next weekend. We'll be back with a preview pod, probably around Wednesday. Preview pod around Wednesday, we'll say. And yeah, as I say, look out for that John McGinn article. I'd say it might drop maybe around Thursday. I should be finished by then. And all that's really left to say, guys, is stay safe. Tell your loved one you loved them tomorrow on the day of Valentine's Day. And if you don't have a loved one, if you don't have a partner, find somebody that's near and dear to you and tell him you love him in these crazy times.
Send a tweet to Emmy Martinez, it'd be fine.
Tell Emmy Martinez you love him. Yeah, he's quite a handsome guy as well, so it's well within your rights. As opposed to sending hate mail to players tomorrow, tell your player you love them. That's exactly it. Yeah, how's about we start that tradition and say Valentine's Day? But anyway, we're rambling again, Paddy. Listen, gotta cut it there. Onwards to Leicester. Thanks ever so much to everybody for listening. At Villa Paddy, at Love McGrath Pod, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.